Good evening, 49er faithful. Here we are, 3-0 to start the season. Man, want to talk about this one? I'm saying, hey, it may not have been pretty at times tonight. Thursday night football often is not. The NFL insists on giving us the most number of games per week, and in doing so, they have lessened the product on the field on Thursdays. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And it was a dominant game. Go look at those stat lines. The 49ers, 3-1 in yards, 3-1 in first downs, and score 30-12. Now, it starts out, it's close. The Niners have a lot of penalties in this one. Trent Williams flagged 3 times. You have drives stalling out in the red zone. You can't have that against great teams, but I'm taking the Giants even down there, 2 left linemen, the left tackle and left guard, and Saquon Barkley, as a team that many predicted to be a end of the roster playoff team, right? So I'm viewing this as a huge win. I want to call out a couple of things before I get to those people down below, but I have folks waiting, so we're going to get straight to it. Ronnie fucking Bell, what a game from the rookie, coming in with that huge special teams tackle that seemed to light the rest of the team on fire, and then in Brandon Ayuk's stead makes that phenomenal catch in the corner of the end zone. That was beautiful. This was an arrival game for Ronnie Bell. Want to celebrate him. Absolutely love it. How about Kyle Shanahan getting Elijah Mitchell rolling in this one? 11 for 42, not all that spectacular yardage-wise, but had some good runs in there. And the biggest stat there is Christian McCaffrey, 18 carries, Elijah Mitchell with 11. You get well above 36 rushes on this one. Phenomenal night getting the run game going, 136 yards on the ground, 310 through the air. I'm very excited. If you can't tell, McCaffrey's still showing that he's elite. Statistically, not his finest game, but man, some of those runs, some of the ways that he is eluding tacklers and running through them. Absolutely love it. And I want to comment on one thing before I get to the next one. Hey, we've had some back and forth with Brandon and I on all sorts of topic on Between Two Beards, but he has consistently said that Juice is an overpaid fullback. And while I agree we're paying a lot for a fullback, I'm arguing right here, right now, and I'm going to have to bring this up with Brandon, that Juice is worth the squeeze. Yes, it is an overpay, but if you asked Mike McDaniel if he would pay that same amount to have Juice on his team, I guarantee that he would. It is the awareness. It is the ability to be the Swiss Army knife all around that offense, blocking like a maniac. It's just uncanny how quickly he can get to the next level, how accurate he is as a blocker. It unlocks things within this offense, much in the way that McCaffrey does. You have to overpay for players like that. I am saying it's not an overpayment. It is quality production. All right. Let's get into the callers. We've got Alan coming in first. Alan, welcome to the program. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine after that win. I feel like, hey, we usually start the season, not usually. We have often started the season slow. Didn't in 2019, that's for sure. Got off to that blazing hot start. This one feels like it's setting up nicely. 3-0 is a great start. Coming up against Arizona next sets up very nicely.
Yeah, it sure does. I thought tonight's game was going to be a lot closer. My prediction was 35-28 for the score tonight. And I'll take the easy fourth quarter when we can.
Yes, absolutely. I love having the easy fourth quarter. No doubt about it. Less stress. I feel better. Didn't take years off of my life. It was a good one. Yeah, I predicted 33-17. So I feel pretty good about how that turned out. I love the fact that it was not any closer than it was, because it sat there for a while where we were within one score or less. And when you're sitting in reach for the Giants, a team that got blown out 40-0 week 1 by the Cowboys and are down Saquon Barkley, their starting left tackle, their starting left guard, I can see how some people probably went pretty negative in that moment, thinking we should be playing better. But the stats lined up that really we were dominant throughout. I mean, the defense was lights out, kept them to minimal yards, and the offense continued to accrue yardage and first downs. We just weren't getting touchdowns. We settled for field goals. But how about Jake Moody?
Hey, totally worth that third-round pick right now, right? Number 99.
Yes.
Let's go. Like,
Let's go.
you know, I'm I'm fully on the Harbaugh. Like, hey, he's at Michigan. He said, hey, take this guy. So I will go with it. And Harbaugh will always be my trust. And right now, it's all 100% in Chaney's hands because he's pulling the right strings at the right times. And on a Thursday night, he gave Elijah a lot of carries. Maybe that's why he didn't play on Sunday, was make sure he was really fresh for a Thursday night game so he could really spell Christian, because I think he was in there for like 14 or 15 plays tonight and had multiple carries.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this was a case of Kyle Shanahan realizing he was being a bit foolish, that it was early on in the season and that he was getting McCaffrey too many touches. Just the percentage of touches was way out of whack. And I think he corrected that this time around. It became very apparent and they addressed it. And I appreciate that when a coach is willing to sort of accept, hey, I need to look at how I was doling out those carries and make sure that, yes, we have to earn that home field advantage. I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here talking about home field advantage, but that's how I feel this team is set up. And you got to worry about the end of the year. It really is. It's like holding Brandon Ayuk back tonight. I'm glad that they didn't allow him to play, even if it was just a pain tolerance issue.
Oh, totally agree. I said earlier in the week, I think on Jack's show or Brad's show or something, and he asked, would you rest Brandon or would you play him? And I said, no, you rest him this week. Get him a full, 10 more days on top of it. So get him a full 2 weeks of rest, and he should be ready to go against the Cardinals on Sunday.
Yes. I mean, we absolutely have that extra couple of days of rest. We're coming up against, it is a division game. You never want to overlook a division game, even if it is the Arizona Cardinals in what appears to be a strong rebuild year. But it sets up nicely for the 49ers to have won this one, earn that win, get the extra days of rest. Hopefully Brandon Ayuk is back for the next contest. But hey, how about Ronnie Bell? He looked pretty spectacular.
Oh, totally. I loved it. I almost want to take out my Jimmy Garoppolo jersey just so I could wear number 10.
Nice.
But I've been in Debo since week 1, so I'm sticking with it. I follow my routine. So in Debo, brand new jersey, first time worn, week 1 this year. So here it is. Let's just go and take all the luck all the way we can. And Jack had a great comment earlier. He says the Niners are a 17, win team as long as they don't kind of mess themselves up.
Yes. And tonight, it did sort of appear that we were on track for at least keeping the Giants in it by doing just that, by the penalties, right? By failing to convert in the red zone, even though we were matriculating up and down the field. And that can end up biting you in the ass if you're playing a better team than the Giants are right now at this point in the season.
Oh, 100% agree. And, us as fans, we can overlook teams, but as you can tell, the team itself is not looking beyond 1 week at a time, just like they did last year for the playoffs. It's a 1 week season every week. Let's go 1-0.
Yeah. Exactly. You got to go 1-0 every week, because last year, these are the types of games that we dropped. And that was why we had to play in Philly instead of at Levi's. This year, these are the games we need to win, the ones that we're predicted to win, because we have some tough matchups coming up later in this season, ones that we may not be able to pull out. And therefore, you got to get to that 13-4, 14-3. I mean, I think that's optimistic to believe we will get there. But if we continue to play like we are now and we can stay healthy, I don't think it's out of reach at all.
Oh, 100% agree with that. Like, as long as everybody stays healthy and we keep matriculating and getting better and better as an offense and a defense, as you can see, like the first half, the defense was kind of struggling, but Wilkes kind of figured it out, talked to the guys at halftime and said, hey, this is what's going on. And they kind of shut it down there in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. A dominant performance by that defense. I'm fairly optimistic going forward. How are you feeling now that we are, let's say, about 20% of the way through the season, about 17% of the way through the season, if you will. You feeling like this is a positive start?
Oh, this is a very positive start after the last few years. Usually
Yes.
we're 1-2, 2-1, 0-3, but that's been a very long time. So it's great that we're out to like this very fast start. We haven't seen this since 2019, and we all
We
know what
haven't.
happened in 2019. So hey, let's just get to the dance. If knock on wood, everybody stays healthy. Let's get to the dance and let's fight it out with whoever comes out of the AFC.
Let's do it. Alan, we got a full waiting room, so I got to get down there, but phenomenal talking to you, my friend. Great to see you. Hope to do it again soon.
For sure. Just let me know, just put that thing out there and I'll come on.
You got it. We'll talk soon, Alan. Take care.
You too. Bye.
All right, we are bringing in Lester San Jose. Lester, how you doing? Enjoying the 49ers win?
Definitely, man. Like, when I saw the early struggles, I'm just thinking, oh my God, I don't want Brandon to be right. Especially when you saw because I was trying to think of a word play, either sloppy or sled, with a capital S and a capital L. Like, sloppy and lucky, yet executed and remained dominant.
Yeah, it really was. It was ugly and dominant at the same time. I don't really know how you do that, but we did.
And it just made me think, like, are the Giants that bad, or is it Daniel Jones that bad? Because I have yet to watch. I was trying to watch the Giant game just to kind of preview. Okay, that comment I made yesterday or whenever that between two beards, that was actually a question. I couldn't pose it as a question because I ran out of characters. Because was it a matter of the Cardinals being that bad or the Giants that good?
Right.
And the same question can be asked in reverse. And I'm just thinking lucky because how many breaks did the Niners get? And I think that's what football has come to these days is like, if you get a break, you got to make the most out of it because there were some lucky breaks.
You do. And I think that the Giants are an interesting team because if you look at their defensive line, it is stacked. And so it's not surprising that we were having trouble. I still think that it is fair to say the 49ers' weakness on offense appears to be coming from the right side of the line, right? If we could do a better job there, we would be a very dominant offense. And it's also fair to point out that we went against the Steelers in week 1 and the Giants here in week 3 that both have phenomenal defensive lines. And so to me, it's that question of context, right? Again, we should have been able to take advantage. Our defensive line is a very dominant one, although Bosa is still rounding his way back into game shape, even though he keeps himself in phenomenal shape. But with a left tackle and a left guard out, I didn't feel like we were able to abuse the Giants in the way that we should have on paper. And with Saquon Barkley missing, that sort of explains how we were able to dominate them in the way they were, keep them from really getting on the board with the run game. So a lot of context to add there.
I was just about to get frustrated because there was at least 1 or 2 calls that I'm thinking, oh, the league just wants New York to whatever, right? Because I think there was that one on Waller. Like, what are you talking about, Waller? You could clearly see Waller grabbing on. I think it was Isaiah Oliver or whoever was guarding him on that interference call.
Absolutely, it did early on. You could wonder that for sure.
But anyway, I was a little bummed because McCaffrey almost had a touchdown, but that was a pretty good pass attempt from Purdy.
That was really good.
And I thought, oh, if he only had caught it. If he had caught it, he probably would have gone in for 6. But
I know yet again, there were a couple of things left out there on the field, but I did see a better deep ball from Purdy tonight. Still not going to be his forte, right? That I don't think anyone is claiming that it is, But as long as he can push it down the field and continue to make completions, then people won't begin to play up quite as much. That's the only fear, is if he truly is deficient there, defenses can play against that. Let me ask you this, because Jason PDSI comes in to say, Rob, long time no see. That's on me. We start a game like we did tonight versus Dallas or Philly, we're in trouble. Do you agree with that? If we're playing against a higher caliber team, does tonight's game go badly because of the way that we start out?
I usually give games up until week 10. I think especially with the 17-game season, I usually wait around week 11 to really make a judgment call. I just think about what happened with the Cardinals. What were they, 10 or 9 and something, and they end up missing the playoffs. So I don't want to start too soon. Same thing with Dallas, because this will be interesting because Dak is without Kellen Moore. I don't know if his struggles was a function of Kellen Moore to some stretch. Now It's time for him to prove that he's a big-time player, because he's had about 7 years to prove that. And track record says that he tends to fold if you hit him in the beak, like Eric Davis used to say. You hit him in the beak a few times, he'll give you one or something like that.
Yes.
So I'm not sure about Dallas. I'm not sure about Philly, so I'm not good. It's all about what you do with the second half.
Yes. What adjustments do you make?
And that's why I said, well, technically, I like to call it preseason game number, even though that game, like Brandon rebutted me saying it counts. I get it. But at the same time, Purdy, Bosa, whoever else didn't really do much in the preseason. I still think it's preseason game number whatever it is. Six? Because you're still working out the kinks. And I think the Niners have looked better than they have in recent memories, where it usually took about the midway point to get the grease going in the machine.
Yeah.
I hope it's an upward trend so that the grease is spun. It's more loose. Sooner than later,
so that we can get rolling in future games at a quicker pace than we did tonight. So I think that's fair. And I think we do need to against higher caliber competition, because this would have been a much tougher contest against a team like Philly or Dallas. Lester, always a pleasure talking. Got to get down to the waiting room, but thank you so much for hanging out and coming in and give me the thoughts. We will definitely do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Rob.
Take care, Lester. All right, we are bringing in next the Gabe Stivers Show, always in the comments, bringing it in live. How are you doing?
How you doing, Rob? We won,
doing very well. How about yourself?
Bro, we beat the Rams, we beat the Steelers, now we beat the Giants. How cool is that?
It's huge. I think it's phenomenal. I mean, 3-0 going into the season. I thought the Steelers game was going to be a lot tougher than it ended up being. The Rams, divisional game, they put up a hell of a lot more through the air than I was prepared to give up, and that made me feel a little bit uneasy about the back end of the defense and about the lack of adjustments that Wilkes made early on in that one. But you pulled out a W against a division opponent. And then tonight, again, not pretty, but it's early in the season and we're winning. So to me, if you can win even when it's not pretty, that actually speaks to the level of dominance that the team is putting out on tape.
Yeah, that's what we need to, but we need to protect Purdy more. We need to get the line going faster. But here's a plan. This is Pat McAfee today. Say if the Niners win tomorrow, we're 1-0, and we're opening the show on the ESPN on the Pat McAfee show in Ohio. Forgot the team they're playing. And guess what? Pat McAfee, when we play against the Steelers, one of his co-hosts is a Steelers fan, and Pat McAfee say the Niners dog shit the Steelers 30-7. And guess what happened? Pat McAfee's like, wow, this team is lit. So you watch Pat McAfee like maybe tomorrow or somewhere, right? He is kind of funny. He's a funny character.
Yes, I'm sure he will have a ton to say. People are going to begin to spin that narrative that this is a dominant 49ers team, that they have all the pieces in place to make the run. And I think that that's not a vast exaggeration. We are set up for success. A lot of things can happen. This is a long season, right? We're not even 20% of the way into it, just through 3 games. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And yet, you can only be as optimistic as many games as you've gone through. And hey, we are 3-0 at this point. So I am extremely optimistic because I came into the season believing that we were going to be a dominant team.
Hey, Rob, what do you think about Nick Bosa's sack? He sacked Down Jones. Down Jones go in the end zone. He got sacked. The ref comes at the 1-yard line. That's a safety. That ref is blind. He needs glasses on.
No, I got to agree with the ref on that one just because of where Bosa hits him first, that it's at the 1 and he drives him back. I did think that Bosa could have potentially eased up a little. Jones would have continued going back into the end zone, and Bosa might have gotten the safety on that one. But I'm just shocked. I had this banner up in here that I didn't even get to, but Bosa being unblocked on that play. Like, I don't know if that was unintentional or whether the tight end just completely whiffs on it, but you cannot leave a man who gets from point A to point B that quickly unblocked. So Daniel Jones just got absolutely destroyed on it.
Oh, yeah, he did. I was like, man. And then Purdy throw the ball to number 10, Ronnie Bell. I thought this was going to be incomplete. This man caught it, put both feet in bounds. And how the heck? Ronnie Bell is amazing. He knows how to play the football game. And I got to tell you, man, Fred Warner, the wide receiver on the Giants, tipped it. Fred Warner volleyball up in the air, and Wafanga caught it.
That was phenomenal. What a great way to end. What a great way to get extra points on my fantasy team because you know I've got the 49ers defense.
Rob, I got a question. Remember I made that comment last night, 38-3, George Kittle, amazing night with Brock Purdy?
Yeah.
Well, that didn't happen, but you and Roman, you guys came close.
We did. Hey, 33-17 was my prediction. Randon went 35-17. And, you know, Kittle had himself a game, right? I mean, he didn't get in the zone, but he has 7 catches for 90 yards, leads the team in reception. That's a hell of a game. He continues to show up in primetime games. And both he and Debo were trucking fools, absolutely trucking them, running people over, getting those yak yards.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. It's final score, man. I'm having fun, and the Niners got a W, man.
Hell yeah, they did. They got a W. They got 3 of them now, and we are absolutely coming up against a team that, hey, we should be able to get a 4th W.
The Cardinals sucks. They lost. They have a 20-0 lead. It's like the Super Bowl, the Falcons versus the Patriots. They're up by 20-3. The Patriots are losing. Patriots came back and won it, and Daniel Jones came back and won that. And Daniel Jones got his ass handed to the number 1 defense last year.
Yeah. I mean, the Cardinals, hey, they did get up big on the Giants, though, so I'm not going to overlook them. I think they're a division opponent. They will always play us tough, and this sets up very nicely. What was your biggest takeaway from this game that we just played? Like, what is your highest optimism about the team going forward from what you saw today? Is it seeing Ronnie Bell come out? Is it Debo's dominance? Is it the way in which Purdy's spreading the ball around? What are you most impressed by?
I'm proud of this team. They work together. They have fun. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, man, every time you have a good defense, you're playing chess against Kyle Shanahan. The only guy I love today, it's Purdy. That man's a son of a bitch. He could hang in the pocket, and his dad's in the sideline. Like, my son's great. And guess what? That's pretty cool. On the commercial, they show it. His dad, Brock Purdy's dad, showed him to Dan Marino's picture and hold him there. And I was like, this if Brock Purdy beats the next Montana and Dan Marino in his career, oh man, we might see instead of 5 Super Bowls, we might see 10 or 20.
I love the optimism. Hey, Gabe,
I have 2 cousins who's like babies. They're like Packers fans. I was like, oh no, Packers fans, really? I was like, yeah, sorry about that. My other cousin's like, sorry, our kids like the Packers. Yeah.
Hey, that's all right. They can like the Packers. They just won't get as many W's. Well, hey, Gabe, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you for the first time. So glad that you were able to come on the air. I hope that we can do this again soon. And we will definitely have another call-in show coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Woohoo. Like next Thursday?
It may be. I will keep it posted on the channel. Probably not Thursday just because that isn't Thursday Night Football, but I will definitely post it on the channel and on Twitter.
All right. Well,
all right, my friend. Great to meet you.
Rob, I got a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Why Elon Musk changed the Twitter name to X? What the heck?
I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know. Gabe, that's one to scratch your head on, man. It was great to meet you, my friend.
I got one thing. Cheers, 49ers faithful.
Cheers. Oh, that was badass. All right, we are bringing back in Sean 9519ers. Sean, it has been too long, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I am very good. After that win, man, I'm feeling like this is a great season, a phenomenally talented roster. We're getting wins early on, even though the games may not be perfect. And that's what you have to do, in my mind, in a 17-game season, because they're not all going to be perfect. Some of them are going to be fucking ugly, and you got to win those ones too, especially the ones that you're charted to win, like last year, dropping the game to Atlanta, to Chicago, to Denver. Those all hurt us at the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest takeaway the first three games, honestly, is we put up 30 in all three games and left at least 14 in each of those games on the table. Dude, I mean, really, the worst thing for our team right now, like that we're doing overall, is from the 10-yard line to the goal line. I mean, not even just red zone, but the 10-yard line in. I don't know if Shanny's like, I'm trying to get Purdy a bunch of throwing touchdowns or whatever it may be, but it just seems like he gets throw happy in that tighter zone. Even when you would think we would run the ball, he's reverse psychologizing and going, well, they expect us to run, so let's pass, which is fine for now because I would rather you put pass on tape and then maybe change the mindset of some of the teams moving forward. But the fact we put up 30, I got to be honest, like when I was watching the Rams game, I'm like, shit, we have 30 points? I feel like we scored 17. I'm like, we have 30 in this game. I look, it's 18, and bam, it's 30. You're like, you know what? If that's the trend we're going to have, where we're just going to pop off in the second half and just widen out some of these games, I mean, to me, that's the most encouraging because Purdy had 300 yards. I'm like, he had 300 yards? What the hell?
Yeah, 310, right?
Well, he really had 110, and then 200 were yak, right? Which is that's who we are though as a team, right?
Yes, that is the strategy. That is Kyle Shanahan's game plan.
But the most impressive part to me was after 4 days, the defense, after a grueling defensive battle against Stafford and the Rams, they were able to come back 4 days later and hold that team to 150 total yards.
Yep, that is impressive.
Total. I mean, go look at the Dallas game when they blew them out 40-0. Dallas gave up 175 yards in that game, to give you some context.
That's wild. And that was 150 total after giving up a long, 11, 12 play drive to start the game. And then they put the cap on it, right? So phenomenal outing by the defense. No doubt about it.
Correct. I think it was 58 total yards they got on that first drive.
Mm-hmm.
For us offensively this game, which I already touched on the 10-yard line in, it's like to start with that field goal, that's why we're sitting there with a close game, one possession, coming into the second half. And another thing too, like for our fan base to understand, which is crucial for our team, that's the reason why Shanahan loves getting the defense on the field to start the game, because no matter what happens in the end of the first half, the Rams, we scored. Thank God. Purdy put an incredible drive together with under 2 minutes. But if we didn't do that, Rams start the second half 17-10.
Right.
Or 17-13, say we get a field goal. So it's a huge possession changer. Well, what happens? We end up scoring. We give them a minute 45. They go down, get a field goal, start the half with the ball. Thank God the defense did what they do, continuing from last year. Same thing. Second half, they just seemed to flip a switch, whether it was with Saleh, whether it was with D'Amico, or even now with Wilkes. They just seem to have that second half, mentality of, no, we're going to play a little bit different, play tighter, blitz more, and just put a lot more pressure on the quarterback.
And to me, that's physical dominance throughout the course of a game, right? And it absolutely comes from time of possession, starting to tilt in the Niners' favor, beginning to run the ball more, continuing to run the ball effectively, right? 36 carries across the team tonight. It is that war of attrition wherein it may not look phenomenal at first, but it's a small chip, a little body blow, and then it's the knockout punch in the second half. And to me, that is a team that is showing that physical dominance over opponents. And that leaves me optimistic. We've got a lot more tougher tests ahead of us, that's for sure, but so much better to get ahead of the curve instead of dropping one of these easier games earlier in the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the one thing next week when we play Arizona, I mean, this isn't like the Arizona with the Kyler Murrays and such before. They've got some guys on defense. They've got a couple guys. It's like James Conner bust, right? So we need to make sure in this game, put them away by halftime, play a series or two in the third quarter, and get ready for Dallas on Sunday Night Football. We can't do what we just did with the Giants and play a close game, keep CMC in there, longer, even though he shared carries with Mitchell, but he's playing in the fourth quarter. So if we can sit there and get that type of rest for our team, I think that would be the best case scenario for us. But I will say, as everybody knows, Trayvon Diggs tearing that ACL, now all of a sudden it's Gilmore bust for that team where they looked like they had that lockdown on each end.
Right.
We don't have to talk Dallas yet, but anyway.
Hey, but Dallas is coming up on the schedule. That is one of those harder tests, right? Dallas, Philly, Jacksonville. There are some harder tests on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately right now, I mean, the way Philly's played through the first 2 weeks, I mean, they lost a lot of personnel. Like, I mean, yes, they still have a skilled team, but Minnesota blew that game with all those turnovers. They only lost by one possession. They should be 1-1. But, I mean, I don't see the Philadelphia Eagles right now as our main competition. I really do see it as the Cowboys, to be honest with you, in the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think in 2 weeks from now, if Ayuk can come back and get, he'll be okay. If he can play that game and we're at full strength, I really want to see how we do against that defense, because the one thing tonight none of us can deny is when the Giants brought pressure on third down, it was either we had a quick hitter or it was a throwaway by Purdy. It was a throwaway. So that they're going to be looking at that film like, all right, if we come from here, Purdy likes to roll, Shanahan likes to call it here, we can get an easy third down incompletion just by default. Because the one thing I love about Purdy, so different than Garoppolo, those third downs or those tight downs when the pocket collapses, Jimmy gets skittish. Jimmy throws the ball up, hoping somebody gets it, where Purdy sits in there and says, F it. You know what? I'm going to throw it at a Ronnie Bell where only he can catch it. I'm going to throw it at a Debo where only he can catch it, similar to Ayuk in week 1. That's the difference in how you can get to 30 points and not realize it, are on those sneaky good plays, even when Purdy was off in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, his ability to slide around in the pocket, his willingness to hang onto the ball. After what happened in the Philly game, obviously we all have a little bit of PTSD when he hangs onto the ball too long and that rush is caving in. And yet it is part of his gift. And he is quick when he decides to take off. He's not necessarily a fast guy, but his first step is quick, and he can often get out of the pocket, throw the ball away. It really is remarkable to me, the pocket presence that he has, being such a young individual. I did see this earlier. Jay Cruz, 49ers, saying, why does Debo have to injury scare us all the time? He does that. Like, I think it inspires us more because he really is fighting through all these tackles. I have no doubt that he got the wind knocked out of him or something in that stomach area where he was grabbing just underneath his rib cage. But that terrifies us, right? I mean, we can't have a rash of injuries on this team. That is the one thing that you want to avoid in this season because it's such a talented roster. But I love when he gets up. The fans start chanting Debo, and then he hops up, and the home crowd goes wild.
That was the same issue that happened to Bosa in 2019 with the Carolina Panthers when the only difference was Bosa got it by landing on a cleat and knocking the wind out of them, where Debo ended up getting it with the knee as he was spinning down to the ground. But that's what, I mean, you guys all know, if you get the wind knocked out of you, you have no ability to physically move. All you can do is just wait for that breath to come back, and you can turn. That's about it. You can't physically do anything. So both of them were the exact same, got up the same way, holding the same thing, and he came back in a few plays later, and what did he do? Oh, one-on-one tutty. Just
a little something.
No big deal.
The man is special.
I'm pretty happy with the 3-0 start based on the teams we played, the offensive output we put up. Our defense, like any team, is always going to have to ramp up. You would hope the offense can always put up points, which we have been doing. even if it looks a little bit ugly and tentative through the middle part of the games, you're right. We do tend to muddy up and play around with some of our schematics to set teams up later on in the game. But ultimately, we have too many damn good players to where even when it's 3rd and 9, because Jimmy's not back there, I just always feel like, well, someone's going to catch it 8 yards and they're going to lunge for 1 or 2, and we're going to get a next fresh set of downs. And it tends to happen 90% of the time.
We had some big 3rd down completions today, right? 3rd and 15, 3rd and 13. Ja'Juan Jennings just continues to be a phenomenal resource on 3rd downs. The man makes great catches, and he does have those basketball-type moves wherein he creates just enough separation for the ball to come in there and not be a contested catch.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's why, what is it? The broadcasters for the 49ers call him 3rd and Jawan, right? You got that nickname? The best part about us having someone like Jennings is now Shanny can scheme up our best players as decoys on those 3rd downs, leave them one-on-one and let them go play basketball. Similar to what the Giants were trying to do with Waller today, except Waller can't catch. If he could actually catch, he would have probably 50 or 60 yards, and they would have obviously had 200 yards plus, total offense. But that's the difference between someone who's coached well, cares about his teammates, and wants to win. So that's one thing that we love in Jennings. But keep in mind, I don't know if Jennings will be here after this year just by default as well.
It doesn't seem likely. You can't keep everyone. The Niners seem to have made good decisions on who they pay versus who they allow to walk to this point. It's painful that you have to make those decisions. I thought that was really tough with Emmanuel Mosley leaving. I'll feel the same way when Ja'Juan Jennings goes. That he's a heart guy.
I see Josh Cook's thing on there about Kyle Shanahan. Do you see that?
I do. Bring that one up here. Josh Cook saying, Rob Schuh, in your opinion, why does it seem like Kyle Shanahan loves to live behind the line of scrimmage? When the plays don't work, the 49ers are behind the sticks. Sean, you want to tackle that one first?
Yeah, so obviously the plan is never for them not to work, but there's 2 answers to this question based on how he schemes since you go back all the way to his Washington days. So the difference with our team, number one, is he knows any person he throws the ball to has the ability to break the first tackle. He always assumes there's going to be a one-on-one to start that play to allow our blockers to be able to get out there and then break it. If it doesn't happen, what he's doing is he takes the loss, which normally is on 1st down, and when he takes that loss, he does that exact same play set up later, except he throws it down the field. But he draws in that side of the defense to that. And in a prime example, if you want to go back to last year's Seattle game when Purdy faked left to the running back, faked right, and then hit Kittle down the middle, he wasn't even touched for the touchdown. So those are plays that you put on tape for future games to be able to get guys to come up that are better players than the Giants have. Shanahan's he's a chess master. He knows what he's doing on the next play regardless, and he can do it on 2nd and 12. That's why he throws a 7-yard, gets into 3rd and manageable, and he has a quarterback who can complete 90% of all those middle throws.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was an astute way to describe it. Sorry, just dropping a link into the chat because someone asked, how do we call in? I just dropped a link to the community tab. I see that is PA Niner Fan 87, a sneakerhead here on the channel. So you should be able to access the StreamYard link there. Yes, and you also look at Shanahan's offense, right? And the type of offensive linemen that we've brought in. They are quick, they are athletic, and that is a phenomenal trait for run blocking in space. And so you have a lot of guards pulling out. You have Juice coming around. You've got Warner. You've got Kittle, phenomenal blockers that are able to pull around and potentially create big plays out of those passes behind the line of scrimmage, on top of everything that Sean just very succinctly said. I love what Jay Cruz is saying here. Hey, why is Trent punching a dude in the helmet? Come on, man. You're a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Got to be smarter than that. I was just glad he didn't get tossed. That was absolutely a punch. He is going to get fined. And by the rule book, he should have been ejected from the game. I'm glad that he wasn't. I think that's a sign of respect towards the big man.
You're exactly right. The only explanation possible is that ref looked and said, you know what? I don't want to be the guy to throw out Trent Williams on a 0-second left in the half play.
Right.
And honestly, I think when he threw it originally, he threw it on Trent only and then said, you know what? I know how to make this softer. Let's give it to both guys.
Yeah, offsetting.
But you know what's dumb? Just a little tidbit on the way they call these fouls. So in the NFL, you get personal fouls, just similar to what Dre Greenlaw got, right, later in the game. I mean, he's good for one a game anyway. But
yeah,
But the foul they call on Trent Williams in 91 for the Giants, it does nothing to nobody. It does nothing to the player, does nothing to the team. It does nothing. If you would give them unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, then if they get a second one, they're kicked out. That's what they should be issuing these dudes if you want to keep them from doing it. Otherwise, it's like, I don't care. It's like getting slapped on the wrist. It's like no big deal. Right. Offsetting what? Like you didn't offset anything. It's pointless.
And you know what? I'm glad. I think that as long as they can keep the product on the field under control, I don't want people getting tossed. So I'm glad that they're lenient when they are, and they make up for it with huge fines that then apparently go to charities of players choosing. So that's good. Sean, I wish we could just keep talking forever, man. We can't. Got to get down to CJ Graydon is next. Bring him in, and we got a room full of folks. But let's do this again very soon, my friend.
Yeah, it's good to see this thing back on, man. I was waiting for it. I appreciate it. The only thing I'll say is clean up those damn penalties. Oh, my God. Yeah. Clean up the
penalties were rough.
All right, cool, man. You have a good rest of your show, brother. Bang, bang,
hey, you too, man. Take care. All right, bringing in CJ Gray, my man, was at the Steelers game to start the season. Here we are, 3-0. I mean, I'm guessing it was because you brought the good vibes in week 1. That's what allowed us to get to where we are right now. How you doing, CJ?
Well, I'm glad it was a complete game for the game that I attended.
Yeah.
I'm glad for that. That looked like 88, 89, 49ers, Montana, stuff like that. That's what the game I attended kind of looked like with Brock Purdy pulling the trigger.
Yes, sir. It reminded me of 2019 against the Bucs, like a very dominant performance on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, so we haven't talked in a very, very, very long time. And so we've been able to skip the whole offseason drama, the whole Lance debacle, the Bosa contract, and it just seems like we was able to clear out all the distractions and get focused on the Super Bowl run.
Yes, the important stuff.
And it feels like all of the players are really, really, really locked in. It seemed like their training regimen and everything about the way they go about their business is about winning the trophy. And everybody individually is locked in to have career years. Christian McCaffrey's at OTAs. He's at mini camps. He's out there taking all the reps. Debo's looks like he's in awesome shape. And Brandon Ayuk is ready to ascend, and so it looks like everything is come together, and hopefully we're able to finally get beyond this point where we have coaching trees, stars, potential Hall of Famers, and no Super Bowl ring to go along with any of that.
Right.
So, all right. To get to the last two games, because there's been two games in the same week.
Yeah.
The Rams game, we have the deep balls that were missed by Brock, but I felt like outside of those deep balls, he managed the game and he made a lot of crucial and great throws, and there was never a time where I'm looking at him like, what are you doing?
No
type situation. And that's what it's like. Yeah, he made the right read, but hey, it just was incomplete. And it's not like Mr. Scooby-Doo, Jimmy Garoppolo, where he just runs in place like you know how the ghost sneaks up on Shaggy and Scooby, and then they say ghost, and they run in place. That's Jimmy Garoppolo's feet right before he throws it to the other team.
Yes.
And he did that for the Raiders last week against Buffalo. It was so comical watching it. It's just like, well, he don't have a 49er jersey, so it's comical now.
Yeah, right. You can actually laugh at it now. Before it was like, I got to cry for a little bit.
So yeah, I know, and also too, it looked kind of ugly, out of whack. But the Giants had a game plan tonight.
They did.
They came in with the blitz, and I mean that's Wink Martindale. That's what he does. I mean, he comes with the blitz, and he was like tired of not getting pressure on anybody, and so I knew that he was going to kind of come out and take that out on us, and and he kind of did. And Brock Purdy was rattled him probably early in the game. And even when Brock Purdy started hitting, you can just see so many shots of him throwing the football, and there's people breathing down his neck as he's got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And the ball's got to go over defenders' hands, and then it's still got to, and the guys all over, the defenders all over his guy, and it's still hitting just like that sideline Kittle throw. That was sweet, and the Debo back shoulder throw, and then also the Ronnie Bell throw, which were
pretty ones,
just absolutely elite. And so it's not going to be perfect. The stat line is 25 for 37 for over 300 yards. If you just look at the stat line, you think it was just the most perfect game, but
right.
It just took. He just had to get going in that game to make it go. And even though it seemed like we would describe it as a sluggish game, it's still the same results, 30 points.
Yeah, exactly. Putting it up. And I mean, I think I'm on the same page about Brock. Like, you watch him, and I just can't help but say to myself, like, this is a pretty ideal fit within Shanahan's offense. Does he throw a consistent, accurate deep ball? No, he's not elite at that. And yet the way in which he is accurate at the mid and short game, when he hits those passes out of the backfield, the dump offs to McCaffrey, when you have weapons like Debo, Kittle, and McCaffrey, who you get the ball to at or behind the line of scrimmage, and they are going to break tackles if you've set them up with blockers in front. To me, having that short game accuracy is so critical in this system. And he's cool, calm, and collected almost all the time. I've not seen him get flapped, even when he had torn his elbow. Like, dude came back in as if nothing was wrong. It made me, we were both there in in Philly, suffering through that game in person. And like, he went back out there. I was like, why is Brock not doing more? Because he looked so calm and cool and collected. He didn't look like he had just torn his freaking elbow off.
Yeah, we was at the game live, and so it was kind of hard to figure out. All I know was Josh Johnson was running on the field, and I just knew we were screwed. And that was
it was horrible. I was surrounded by Philly fans that were saying just god awful insults. That, I mean, you know, if the shoe were on the other foot, I'm going to be a more gracious host, but I'm still going to talk my trash. So, like, I appreciate talking trash, but that was tough. And Go ahead, CJ.
I was saying I'm not going back to Philadelphia ever.
No, I will never go back. I don't even know if I'm going to visit the city ever again, let alone that stadium. God, no. I've checked that one off the list. I still haven't put no, I did. I put the pin in there begrudgingly. But yeah, never again. Screw that city.
Man, Pittsburgh was their people were so nice. They were so gracious. It was just so much of a different environment going to that game. And I understand that, hey, you root for your team and the other person, but we're human beings, and we all love football, and we just there to witness a great event. And we've paid great amounts of money to do it too. Yeah. And so I done dropped 1,000 large on my ticket to go to Philadelphia, and then have people treat and talk to me that way. It was just a rough situation, man.
It was disgraceful in my book. Like, I understand that fans are brutal, and like Philly prides themselves on that. But that was terrible. Hopefully tonight, to the Giants fans that were there, Levi Stadium was a little more gracious, because they certainly were getting pushed around in this one. Do you see this setting up nicely, coming up with Arizona next on the schedule for the Niners to just keep on rolling?
I hope that we just continue to do. The whole thing about having a trap game with this team, I don't know if there's trap games for this team, because everybody, all the veterans with the C's on their chest, especially, they are real hell-bent and driven. And
they really are.
And CMC doesn't have a C on his chest, but he should. I mean,
yeah, he's got a C on his heart with the way
he should have a C. He should have a C on his chest, like as big as his whole shirt. And he should even have a 23. It should just say a C on it.
Christian, like Superman and shit.
I swear to you, because it's like it's so much of the production of his offense is him. And he is just so awesome and what he's able to do, the speed, the power, he just embodies the 49ers mentality. He was always meant to be a 49er. Like, it should have just been drafted in 2017.
Right? should have. Was just down the road in Stanford.
Should have been
just needed to bust him up from Stanford to San Francisco or down to Santa Clara. That is. Yes, that is. Even when he's not producing the yards that we're getting are often a direct result of the coverage that has shifted to him and has opened things up for other weapons on the offense. It really, adding Christian McCaffrey was a big unlock and a phenomenal trade for the 49ers.
I just hope we're ready for Dallas because Micah Parsons very much looks like the reincarnation of Lawrence Taylor.
Oof, that's not good to hear.
And you know what Lawrence Taylor used to do to us with Bill Parcells.
Very painfully. I was at some of those games.
And we got to get our stuff together. We got to clean up penalties.
Yeah.
We got to clean up our blocking assignments with these blitzes, and we got to keep these people off of Purdy because he is getting hit a lot and pressured a lot.
That's a fact. I don't know if ESPN's count on it is right, but they had quarterback hits for the Giants at 6. So, yeah, Purdy's not supposed to be taking that number of shots per game. That hurts. And I agree. It's amazing that we are 3-0 with some of the things we need to clean up. And it makes me optimistic that we can be even better when we do clean them up. But I think the same is true on the other side of the coin, that if we get to our tougher parts of the schedule and have not cleaned these things up, then we could be in some trouble. We're going to have tougher competition, and those games will not be the same type of lay down in the second half. I think it will be a much tighter contest, and those, man, take years off of my life.
Well, that's pretty much all I had, man. I stayed up just so we can chat, man, because I haven't seen it in a long time. And,
hey, it's been too long.
I'm on the East Coast, so I'm about ready to go to bed so I can go to work.
Hey, man, thank you for staying up. I appreciate it. It was phenomenal seeing you in Philly last year, even if that game was freaking horrible. We've got that shared memory, and I hope that we get to do it again in the playoffs this year, my friend.
All right, Rob, and take care.
Hey, take care, CJ. Talk to you soon. All right, we are bringing into the program Bullpup 33. How are you doing this evening? Enjoying this fine 49er win?
Of course, Rob.
Yes.
Of course. To be honest, it felt more like a scrimmage more than a Thursday night game.
Because of the ugliness of it, because of the penalties early on and the sloppiness, or what makes you say that?
We were quietly dominating.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they made some plays. They had a nice drive, but this game was never in the balance.
No. And yet the score didn't reflect that early, right? I got a text from my father that was like, I'm not seeing a Super Bowl team out here. And like, I couldn't believe it because I was looking at the stats just as he sends that text, and we were already up in yardage by like 2.5 to 1. It was 20-12. I'm like, which game are you watching? So I think there is that, hey, like, we are so good, we should be handling business with an injured Giants team. But the reality is, minus the penalties, minus stalling out on 3 drives in the red zone, it was a very dominant game.
Yeah, it was like a slow motion game. It's like it took us forever to get that touchdown. It felt like. Yeah,
it did. I like what Sean 808 is saying here. He says, I'm not worried about the sloppy and sluggish playing because of the short week. There is something to that. I said it at the top of the show. Thursday Night Football is not the same quality programming as Sunday Night Football. It just isn't. The teams don't have enough time to practice and put in effective game plans that target one another. So it's a little bit more of a generic game plan. And they've got to prepare for 2 teams at once. I'm sure that the Giants maybe over-prepared for San Francisco and then under-prepared for Arizona. Maybe that's why you see them go down early to Arizona. They clearly weren't up to the task against us either. But that short week, man, you saw it against Tennessee last season or the season prior. I think that was the season prior. Where it was an ugly game on Thursday night. it's just low quality football often, and that's unfortunate.
So sometimes Kyle kind of like outthinks himself.
Yes, he does. I've seen him do that on multiple occasions.
He tries, and I honestly think the beginning of the game, he overthought the game plan a little bit. He was trying to do too much, too elaborate. I was just like, dude, just line up, play football. Your team is way better than theirs. Don't try to win it for them.
Yeah, just beat them with whatever play. Just make sure you're running the football that way. Yeah, that's a fair critique. I do think that Kyle Shanahan does outsmart himself. That's saying something because he is incredibly intelligent. So you got to be even smarter than that to outsmart a really intelligent person. That's some awkward logic there.
But the fact that, a couple points here, the fact that we're not getting sacks doesn't really trouble me.
Yeah.
Pressure, we are all over people.
We are. And we did rack up 2 sacks tonight. Not a whopping number, but 2 ain't shabby.
I mean, you just saw, how many times did you see Daniel Jones just get hit as soon as he released the ball?
A lot. Lot. They also on ESPN had us at 6 quarterback hits in this one.
Yeah. I mean, you saw it in the Rams game and you saw it in this game. They're just like, you know what? We're not even going to try. We're just going to quick shuffle, 1-2, get that ball out.
Yeah.
Because they know they don't have a prayer.
That's right. I mean, yeah, teams know what they're up against when they come up against the 49ers in that pass rush and Nick Bosa. But I will say, I think that we need Bosa to continue rounding into form because he got his first sack tonight, but it wasn't as if it was a amazing swim move where he beats the left tackle or the right tackle. In that case, he's predominantly lining up on that side. And yeah, he was unblocked, right? So it was just a sprint to Daniel Jones. So yes, he got on the board, and it wasn't a spectacular play. It was more of a blown play by the Giants.
They'll come. They'll come.
I definitely think they will.
They'll
Absolutely.
come.
The pressures are there. Javon Hargrave, his first step off the ball is ridiculously fast.
Amazing.
That was a phenomenal free agent signing.
Amazing. He's just he lives in the backfield.
Yeah. Some of those moves that he has where he is into the backfield so quickly. I mean, credit to Daniel Jones tonight. I thought he got the ball out actually really quick on some of those where Javon Hargrave was right there in his face. I think he could have ended up with 2 or 3 sacks in this game had things gone just slightly different in that backfield.
Yep. And the other part that doesn't surprise me is we have started hot, 3-0. I consider it hot, is because we have stability at quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Stability. People have confidence in him, and Kyle Shanahan has confidence in him. It reminds me of the relationship between Kyle and Jimmy before it went sour, right? At some point, there just was an animosity there. There's a love affair between Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. And I think it shows in the plays that are being called and the confidence with which Purdy is able to execute the offense. And when you see him interacting on the sideline, it strikes me as a positive, cohesive relationship.
Absolutely. Can you believe we're still talking about Mr. Irrelevant? There's no drop down between last year and this year from Brock Purdy.
I mean, averaging 30-plus points per game last year, 30, 30, and 30 to start the season. And to Sean 951's point, in each of those games, it felt as if we left some points off the board. So that is, again, to have an offense like that is beautiful. You're going to win a lot of games just by having an offense that can score, close to 30 per game. When you pair that with the defense that the 49ers have been able to put on the field the last 3 seasons, I mean, going back to 2019, an elite defense paired with an offense that can put up points like this, again, there's reason for serious optimism.
Yeah. And last but not least, because I know it's a short show, Everyone in the league knows it, right? Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the media's not going to come out and say it, but we have a big target behind our back because we are the favorites to go to the bowl.
Oh, yes. People are giving us their best shot.
So every single game, 90% of the teams, we're their Super Bowl. We're going to get their best shot.
I think that's fair. Certainly within our division, when you see Seattle and LA and Arizona come swinging, they are trying to take down the king.
Yeah, every one of these teams is going to, the coach, it's their Super Bowl. They're going to give us all they got.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it fun, because it makes our victories that much sweeter.
Yes, it does. You well-earned victories, and said. Hey, Bullpup, always appreciate you coming on and appreciate you hanging in for this longer show. Going to try to get to the last couple of callers before I got to hang it up here, and I look forward to doing this again very soon.
All right, Rob, you take care. Go Niners.
You too. Bye-bye. All right, we are bringing in Jimmy J to the call. We got 3 more callers in, so we'll try to roll through. Jimmy J, how you doing?
What's up, Rob? How you doing, man?
Man, I am doing well. Niners are 3-0. I am riding that high. Very excited for this season. I have been since the offseason. Honestly, the only thing about the offseason that bugged me was all the drama that we seem to want to fester within our own fan base. Now that we're winning, all of that noise has quieted. The fans are focused. Clearly, the team is driving and focused. And someone mentioned that earlier. I want to say it was CJ Gray calling out all those folks with C's on their chest who are holding this team together, making sure that we are in every game, that we don't have those trap games. And if we can win those we're supposed to and be competitive in the tough ones, that's how you earn home field advantage or at least secure your spot in the playoffs.
That's exactly right, man. I want to go back to what you were saying a minute ago just about Brock. And, I mean, this is Jimmy J from last night. Take my son to his first game ever tonight.
Hell yeah, that's phenomenal. I can't.
Yes, sir.
What a great game to be at.
Yeah, dude, we were section 131, row 4, man. He got on TV at the 15-minute mark coming back from commercial in the fourth quarter.
Yes,
and
that's phenomenal.
But the thing about Brock, I just noticed every time, dude, and then being there tonight, I've seen him play in person twice. Last year against the Commanders and then went to Vegas for the Raider game. But being there, he's like so stoic, man. Like, he just, in the vein that nothing frazzles him, nothing bothers him, nothing gets to him, dude. He just always looks so in control. And I can't remember having a quarterback like that since Steve Young, man.
Yes, absolutely. He has it between the ears. There's no doubt about that. He has the calm, cool, and collected attitude. It just is fun to watch. And I was there in Vegas last year as well. That was a hell of a game. That was a fun one.
We were supposed to meet up, dude, but we didn't connect, man. But one thing, I don't want to keep you too long, dude. The other thing I want to talk about is the Ronnie Bell coming out party tonight, man. I mean, that dude, like his play, just a touchdown, but his play on special teams, man, that tackle he made on that punt didn't get faked by the juke. Nailed dude at the 10-yard line. I mean, we got something special in that kid right there too, man.
A football player, the exact kind of wide receiver that Kyle Shanahan covets, right? Because he sets a tone for a wide receiver room. And we got guys like Brandon Ayuk who are running down the damn field, blocking for Christian McCaffrey. Jawan Jennings, who is constantly blocking beyond the whistle and then getting the opponent to react. We've got some dogs in that receiving room, and I didn't even call out Debo motherfucking Samuel, who will run over people like nobody's business.
Dude.
Kyle Shanahan says, we like real men.
Yes. I'm telling you. I think that's what he envisions, that he would have been that wide receiver, except for he ran over a fence and speared his own leg when he was in college there in Texas.
Yeah, that torpedoed it right there, man. He could have been something special, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got it between the ears. He would have been one of those wide receivers like Easy Ed McCaffrey.
Yeah, exactly right, dude. I was telling like my brother the other day about when McCaffrey was played with us before he went to Denver and won those Super Bowls, but he won one with us too. So
hey, Easy Ed.
Exactly
we'll
right.
Take one with his son too. That's not too bad.
No, not at all. You know what? Sometimes I wake up in the morning, dude, and I still just completely trip out that we even got him in the first place, man.
Isn't that crazy? Just crazy.
Seriously, though.
When the rich get richer.
That's right, man. That's right. So, and one more thing real quick, dude. We're 3-0. That's a dub tonight, but we haven't even seen George go off yet. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's still so much more this offense can do, man.
Yeah, there's untapped potential. There's solidifying the right side of the line, getting them to play together just a little bit more. You would hope that as the season progresses, they will get more comfortable, especially when you're talking about McKivitz in a new starting role there at right tackle. The more reps he can get, the better cohesion you're going to get along that line. And if we tone down the penalties, again, we're at 30, 30, and 30 through 3 games, and we left points off the board.
Man. Yep.
It's crazy.
Big time. Yeah.
Jimmy, that's so cool that you took your son to this game. I'm glad that we got the W for you guys. Great first memory. I look forward to hearing from you again.
Yes, sir. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Have a good night, Rob.
Take care. Pleasure. Later. All right, we are bringing in Leo to the stream. Leo, how you feeling about the start of this season and the win tonight?
I'm feeling lovely about the start of this season. This is, you know, I'm always worried with the 49ers and the slow starts, and I know that we'll pick it up. Kyle Shanahan will put some miracle trade or some trick up his bag in the middle of the season to recover. And just the fact that we're not starting like that, it just feels wonderful. No one's got it better than us this year.
It does. We got all sorts of money in case we need to make some sort of a move. We are poised. We've got the deepest roster in the league as far as I'm concerned. An offense that finally looks like some shade of 2016 Atlanta, where Kyle had it cooking with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. But this is a more balanced attack, right? You can't just double team Julio and your biggest weapon is gone. You've got McCaffrey, Debo, a Kittle, Ayuk, right? Even with Ayuk out tonight, we put up 30 and left 14 points off of the board.
And as you guys were saying, even if they start covering tight on those players, then we got Jennings and Ronnie Bell coming through. Like the talent, I don't know if I've been a Niner fan for about 30 years now. I'm 37.
Yes,
I can't recall a more talented roster since I've been, really following the team. It's just incredible to watch. What I was looking for tonight was a definitive win. I'll try to keep it short. I know that you got other callers and it's getting late, but I was looking for a definitive win against a team that should not have given us a hard time, and I saw that win. However, same with the Rams game. Like, I was getting nervous in the beginning. I'm like, what is going on here? But the adjustments is what we want to see.
And they came quicker in this game than they did in the Rams game. Wouldn't you say that?
Absolutely. Yeah. In the Rams game, it was second half. In this game, I feel like the end of first quarter, we started making those necessary adjustments. So I'm happy about that. I saw a comment about give Wilk some time, and that Bosa and Debo and all these folks, just give them a little bit more time and we're going to start cooking. I think that was a comment from Nikki D. I super agree with that. I want to get on to Purdy for a second. So I learned my lesson with Cap about not getting too hyped with new quarterbacks. Yeah, I learned that lesson the hard way. So I'm trying to keep my hype a little bit under control, man. But this guy, I just cannot help just be so excited with these decisions he's making. And one of the things I love, I remember hearing this a lot from the fandom last year, is you got to air out the ball to keep the defenses honest. And I'm seeing that every single game. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, taking the shots.
Taking the shots.
We may not be hitting at the rate we'd like to, but they're there and we're taking them.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, we had one to CMC tonight that was inches away from being in, and then obviously Debo with that beautiful fadeaway with pressure coming on Purdy, just the poise in the pocket. I mean, who would have thunk? One thing about injuries, I don't know about the rest of you faithful. Me and my boys are texting each other during the game. Every single time, I don't know if it's this team or the care that you have for the players, but every single time a CMC takes a hard hit, goes down, or Devo's on the ground and just like, get up. Oh, is he getting up quick enough? It's just that's the only stressful part of the game.
So stressful.
It's probably just scars from all the season ridden injuries we've had in past years.
We all have PTSD and it's gonna take us a long time to get past it. I don't know that I'll ever be past it, because honestly, anytime someone's slow to get up, I'm like, I stop in my tracks. I'm like, come on, you're good, right? Especially Debo, because he does, to whomever's point that was earlier about, like, my heart is in my throat when he goes down like that, because I know how hard he runs, and it's not hard to imagine that producing the injury. But when he pops back up, dude, it is cool to hear the crowd go wild.
Well, it takes really damn hard hits to bring down CMC, Debo, right? So when they do take the hit and finally go down and the yak potential is not there at the moment, you're just like, yes! And then you're just like,
yes, yes.
One more point that I want to call out is I love the distribution of the ball.
Yes.
And I don't know, like there's smarter fans out there than me. I don't know if that's a byproduct of going through your progressions or whatnot, but man, we had this. I could see a problem of having all this talent but not making the most of it, and I just feel like the distribution has been phenomenal. You were calling out some points like 30-point game average, but I'm looking at Ayuk, who's already sitting on 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey's on 2 touchdowns. Debo's got 1 running in, and now tonight Samuel, Debo, and Purdy got 1. So we just gotta get Kittle, who was close. There was one right at that red zone. Kittle, that was really close, but
so close.
Yeah, he's getting more worked in now.
Yeah, great distribution, great balance. Six different ball carriers, 6 different receivers tonight. I mean, yeah, this offense has options. It's not just dependent upon one player, and that sets up well for various opponents as we come across them. Phenomenal. Love talking to you, Leo. Obviously, it has been too long since I've done a Sneakerhead call-in show, and it won't be that long again because it's firing me up to have these conversations.
Go Niners.
Yes, sir. Go Niners. All right. We'll talk again soon, my friend. All right. We are bringing in our last caller of the night, PA Niner fan 87 to the call. PA Niner fan, how you doing this evening? Are you riding the high of the win?
Extremely high, brother. Hey, can you hear me? My internet's been funky all night.
Yes, I saw you dropping in and out of the call down there. We'll keep it short, though. Let you get to your points right away.
All right. Like CJ said, it's awesome seeing a quarterback with like no happy feet. Love watching that. You know, just
smooth,
just poised. Even like if something bad happens, he's like, I get mad a little bit, and that's it. Move on.
Right.
It was
frustration.
Right. It was awesome hearing the Juice chant tonight. Like, I just wish we could hear it more often. But we just have so many weapons. We can't feed our fullback / Wes Welker monster that we have that like is an amazing player, just doesn't get the love that he deserves because there's only one football.
For those that are watching him blocking,
and the last thing is like I have to say this, where we have so many good players.
Go ahead, PA Niner fan. We may have a little delay here. Just a little delay.
Exactly. See, I think my internet's cutting out. Sorry, man. Last thing, I'll put it this way. We have so many good players. I thought I hardly heard Kittle's name, and then he winds up with 6 catches for 90 yards.
Yes, indeed.
I cut out.
A phenomenal game all the way around. I mean, just the point here from Nicky D coming in, Purdy playing the point guard, distributing the rock. You look at this offense, again, the only apparent weakness that I see, and I'm not piling on this, but you could see it again tonight, the weaker part of the offensive line is certainly on the right-hand side right now with Burford and McKivitz. You could see the 49ers at some point addressing that if it doesn't improve, but I would look to see that improving as they go forward, as they get more snaps. Other than that, this offense looks dialed in. I think we may have lost PA Niner fan 87 with that text, but that's the last caller. Thank you very much for being in here. Leo coming in with one last shot says one more thing before I dip. My 6-year-old tonight for the first time is like, Daddy, can we go watch the game there at that stadium? Yes, Leo. Yes. The answer is yes. And his answer was, I was like, hell yeah. All right. Appreciate everybody calling in. No worries. We will get you back on next call-in show. PA Niner fan 87 dug the conversation that we did have. It was great talking to everybody tonight. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the win. We will be back soon. Until then, you know the drill. Cheers, faithful.